You've taken the first step to come here to the first annual Accessible Ohio Conference. I want to thank you for coming. As I started to meet many of you, I realized the strength and the potential power here in the room to make changes. We all know accessibility matters. It's just a matter of convincing other people and bringing more awareness to the problems that we all experience regarding inaccessible places. Today, you're going to see inaccessibility from my perspective. You're also going to see what can be done to make changes to make it more accessible. Now, many of you, like me, are in mobility devices, and you have the disability placard that allows you VIP parking. So for those of you who came to the Fawcett Center, some of you probably came in an accessible wheelchair van like I did. I need 16 feet of width, and I know from this audience that no one's going to park next to my van and block that accessibility aisle. That gave me the independence. It was about a year after my injury when finally I was able to acquire a wheelchair accessible vehicle and learn to drive with hand controls. So as you came here, did you notice? Did you notice the path of travel from the parking lot? Did you notice the push buttons on the door were working today and the doors opened automatically? If you've gone to the restroom, have you noticed that there are accessible stalls? Have you noticed the ease in which you can roll under the sink, reach the towels, reach the soap dispenser, open the doors and get in? There's even a quiet room here and a lactation room for any of you who need it in terms of getting away for the day in a quiet space. We have wheelchair accessible seating. If you would like to see it, the last seat in this aisle over by the camera has the wheelchair accessible symbol on it, the international symbol. And that particular seat has an armrest that you can get out of the way, so it makes it easier to transfer into that seat. You've also noticed we have spaces specific for people with wheelchairs and scooters so that they have options to park here, or to be in the back. They were given an email before they came here with a picture of the theater so they knew where the accessible seating was. Accessible Ohio worked with me as part of the consulting team to make sure that they knew who was registering, who needed accessible parking, who needed accessible seating. We also have the universal changing table. If you have an opportunity today, go out and look at that in the mobile unit. So we have an accessible stage. It was very easy for me to roll right up here. And today we have our sign language interpreter. I'm not sure who in the audience needs a sign language interpreter, but I'm glad they brought her here. The first time I was speaking with a sign language interpreter, I was very naive about what they did. I was realizing as I was speaking, trying to get eye contact with my audience, that there was a table of people out front that I could never get their eye contact. You know why? They were all deaf. And they were looking at the sign language interpreter. I didn't learn till after the presentation when that table of people came up to me to thank me that that was what was happening. It wasn't that they were ignoring me. They needed to look at her. So one of the little faux pas as I was learning to be a more professional speaker and realize sign language interpreting. One of these presentations, and oftentimes the stage is not accessible. I have to tell my clients, I need an ADA compliant ramp. It has to have the handrails and it has to get me up there. Gone are the days when they have to lift me up on stage or they have a 6-foot ramp that's so steep and then people have to push me on and off a stage. That's not happening anymore when I'm speaking. I was recently hired by a large association to go to Seattle where they were having a big convention. This is the new Seattle Convention Center. When I saw this, I wanted to point this out. It's an all-gender restroom with the international symbol for accessibility. It has the symbol of the toilet. It also is in Braille, so people could identify this as an accessible all-gender restroom. Next to that was the wellness room with, again, the notion of somebody on the autism spectrum that needs to get away during a conference in a big convention center to have a quiet space with less lighting. So how does it make you feel? Have you ever had the situation? I'm guessing people in mobility devices like you in a wheelchair have had things happen before where it's just not accessible. This happens to me quite frequently. Let me share a couple of stories. I was hired by a large organization to go to Denver. I was there for the site visit. They had 2 hotels that they were using, plus the big convention center. They asked me to go inside the hotel. Okay, I roll up to the door. You know how they have the revolving doors? That's not very accessible for me in a wheelchair. I want a door with a hinge on the side. I want to push a button and go right in. Well, they had the door labeled as accessible, fine, and I go to open it and it's locked. The accessibility consultant can't even get into the lobby of the hotel. My client was not happy. We went in, we asked them to unlock the door. They unlocked the door. I went right up to the desk and I said, tell me, why is the accessible door locked? Their answer, for security purposes. We don't want the homeless in our hotel. That's not a good reason. Accessibility matters. You're keeping people from being in your hotel. And then I've been in hotels where they give me the electronic key to get into my hotel room. I go up there, I put the key up to the door, the green light comes on, I try to open the door, and there is so much pressure that I can't even open the door, and there is such a thick threshold lip that trying to get in, holding the door over the threshold, I cannot get in, nor can I get out. So I need to get engineering there immediately to adjust that pressure to the ADA standard of 5 pounds of pressure. I should be able to open that door with 2 fingers. Exclusion, accessibility matters in terms of my experiences. How does it make me feel locked out when I can't get into a venue? This has to change. We have to make people more aware of the problems and fix it. So if a door isn't working and the button doesn't work, I go up to the management or the owner and say, hey, you know your button isn't working, you need to get that fixed. If I go into a restroom at a convention center and I realize, hey, this stall is not going to work for me, I can't even get my wheelchair into the stall, I immediately have to leave that facility and try and find the accessible restroom. So I'm looking for the signs on the doors, and you'll see them here at the Fawcett Center. I have found 2 of them now with accessible stalls. One is right outside this door, and one is down the new hallway all the way over. So we have to be aware of the signage to communicate to people which restroom does have the accessibility for wheelchair accessibility as well as for ambulatory people with the grab bars. So this is another story to share. I was at a hotel, I asked for a curbless shower. No, we don't have one. Sorry, we'll give you a room with a bathtub and a shower. I said, well, at least give me a shower chair. They went in the kitchen and brought me this milk crate. Can you imagine what waffle butt looks like? Accessibility matters. What happened to me, unpredictable, unprecedented. Life changed in an instant. It was June 13th of 1998. It was a Saturday, my 3rd wedding anniversary, a Caribbean blue sky. My husband and I decided to go on a bike ride. We live in Columbus, went over to Granville to the bike trail. We're loving each other. We're celebrating this wonderful 3rd anniversary. I'm riding, he's behind me, and I hear him scream, "Look over there, something's falling, stop!" There was nothing I could do. What he had seen was a tree halfway to the ground, and in an instant I was crushed by a 7,000-pound tree, followed by live power lines. In an instant, unconscious and paralyzed from the waist down. I could not, when I woke up, move my legs. Life flighted to Grant Hospital, emergency surgery, 5 days of intensive care, transported to Dodd Hall here at The Ohio State University, spending 5 weeks in the rehabilitation hospital, and then 2 more years, 3 days a week in occupational and physical therapy. Not an easy life, waking up with a spinal cord injury, looking at my journey, wondering, now is life worth living? How would I exist in a wheelchair with a spinal cord injury? Come with me and roll. I want to share with you my journey. The house I was living in, 2 stories. At first, there was no electric porch lift. Thank you to the Ohio Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation that is here today. They made that modification possible for me to replace the wooden ramp that was there in the beginning that was so steep it was like the luge in the Winter Olympics. The Bureau also modified the van with hand controls and the ramp that came out and taught me how to drive with hand controls. That house limited my access. I had a business at the time as a trainer and a speaker and a writer and a consultant, so I could use the first floor, could not use the second floor. I also had a publishing company in the basement, had to dissolve the entire business and stop publishing my book. That's what it looked like coming home when the porch lift was finally put on, so I had accessibility. Fortunately, the door was wide enough, and it made for an independent situation. However, that was the only accessible door in my home. That's the back door. That's the garage door. Can you imagine being in a wheelchair? What the fear was like, knowing that if there was a fire, an emergency, if the porch lift didn't work, you were stuck in the house trying to figure out how to roll this wheelchair outside on one of the other doors through the steps. That thought was always on my mind. It was an inaccessible home. No way could I get to the second floor, and the carpeting was so thick, I could not roll in my own home at first. Mark, my husband, had to push me anywhere in the house. The only hard surfaces were the foyer with hardwood flooring and the kitchen with vinyl. To reach over the stove was a safety hazard because all the controls were in the back. And notice where the microwave is. That's totally inaccessible and out of my reach. The oven was not safe. It's hinged on the bottom, so very difficult to get things in and out of that oven. I couldn't even get myself a glass of water. That's how difficult life was in that home. The shelving was too high. Toileting, very difficult for me. The door was removed. You can see how tight that doorway was. I had a real difficult maneuver to do a 180-degree transfer from my wheelchair onto the toilet. That was very difficult for me every time I was in the bathroom. So that changed. Let me introduce you to the Universal Design Living Laboratory. Our home in Columbus, it's 20 minutes away. It's 3,500 square feet, 4 bedrooms on an acre and a half. It's a custom luxury home. My husband and I were the general contractors and builders. We had over 200 sponsors that helped us build it and hundreds of volunteers. It took us 32 months to build this house. We'll never build another house again. We moved in May of 2012, and it's been a dream home for me. Major, major difference from the old home. Now, you may say, Rosemarie, you and Mark created this luxury custom home. What good is it for people who need affordable housing? I got news for you. Habitat for Humanity had me on the national task force to help them design future homes with accessibility. I've got news for you. Vacation rental owners come to the house also. People who are designing accessible housing they come to the home to borrow some ideas. And I hope you can borrow some ideas from the slides today, as well as take the virtual and video tour to borrow ideas. It's not the house and all the high-end appliances and wonderful flooring and high-end countertops. That's not what makes this universal design. What makes this universal design is the subtle changes that make a difference. 1 inch makes a difference in getting into a doorway or going over a threshold. The subtle changes is what makes this house work. So let's take a look at our home from my perspective. Feel free to go to our website at any time to see this house more closely. As you come to the door, this is a 1 in 20 slope. It's more gradual than the aisles here today in this theater. It's very easy. There's also automatic lights that come on at night, making it very secure to come in. The door, all the doors in the house are 36 inches wide. Those are so important to everyone that comes into our home, so that anyone can come in with a wheelchair, a scooter, or a walker. The house has a threshold that is very easy to get into. We also have the hardwood flooring throughout the house, as well as the porcelain tile in the bathroom. Inside the house, you can see the threshold and how level it is. The house was built, and then the porch was put on to make sure that was level. You might be able to see the peepholes in the door. Let me point those out to you. See that peephole? That's for Mark. He's 6'4". If there's any couple that is different in their heights and their needs, I'm 4'2". This is my peephole right here. There's another one right here for our cat, Kiko, so she can look out. So here's our roll-in shower, no waffle chair provided. At this point, we have all the features that make this 4-foot by 7-foot shower accommodating for me as well as my husband. So it's all set up for my independence. Our kitchen, a wonderful room with 3 different heights of counters. My husband loves to make salads, so he's up at the 40-inch. I do meal prep at the 30-inch, and there's lots of knee space there. We also have the 35-inch, which is more traditional. Going through other parts of the kitchen, you can see this oven has the hinge on the side rather than the door, making it much more accessible and safe. You can also see that there's a lot of space between the microwave and oven and the rest of the kitchen. I have room for a 360-degree turn in my wheelchair so that Mark and I can work together in that kitchen. It's a wonderful environment for multiple people in the house. I invite you to udll.com. Here's what I suggest. You go over there, take your computer mouse and go in the front door. Take it and go through the house. There's different stations that you can follow it. You can also go out onto the garden. It's very accessible. You can also go to the lower level. It has an elevator in it. But take a look at this virtual tour. You can play a little game. Google was the company that did the virtual tour for us. They came one day with a camera and a tripod, and they took over 700 photos to put them together for the virtual tour. And my little cat, Kiko, was the photo bomber that day. So as you're looking at the virtual tour, play a game and see where Kiko is in the house. You can also get a free copy of my book, The Universal Design Living Laboratory, at udll.com. And you can see the universal design features in our home, room by room. So feel free. So if the world were more accessible, our disabilities will be less limiting. You can see the contrast in how my disability was intensified when accessibility was not included in my previous home. Introduce you to my mother, Rose. She's deceased now. She was 98 at the time of her passing. I watched her as she had her hip replacement, dementia, arthritis. It was not a pretty sight, watching her age and watching her decline. Each of you, as you age, you're going to have changes in your body, your family also, your friends. It's inevitable. Over time, we will have the slipping of our age and the slipping into some of our limitations and our strengths and our bodies will inevitably have a disability. So as we live, disabilities will be a part of our lives. It's just the way it is. So we're planning for the future for our inevitable disabilities. If you have heard the term universal design, you probably knew that Ron Mace is credited for the term. He is a person who had polio as a child, used a wheelchair, and was an architect. His group came up with this definition. The important part of this is the features of the products and the environment are usable by every people. Anyone that comes to my house says, I want a house like this. It's not just a house for Rosemarie in a wheelchair. It's a house that's usable by all people. And so that's the distinction, where the Americans with Disabilities Act was only focusing on people with disabilities to make accessibility happen. We use ADA as the minimum. Universal design goes way beyond that. So they're not equal. In private homes, the ADA does not apply. It applies to public spaces. So the example, I'm going to use the term interchangeably inclusive and universal design, looking at the restrooms here in terms of the features of ADA and accessibility and the accessible parking and the accessible seating throughout the theater. So we're not discriminating against people, we're including them, we're making it an inclusive environment. Inclusive design goes way beyond it, and it's really a framework. It's a design approach, it's a philosophy of a user-friendly. If you can use it easily, it's likely to be following the 7 principles of universal design. Here's an example. I love chocolate. So we were shopping at one of the Lindt stores, one of our favorite brands. We looked at the retail shelves. Take a look at this. Can you see that the packaging has different labels on it, different colors? So if I wanted to have milk chocolate is available here in the blue, here in the blue, here in the blue, here in the blue. So I can easily reach anything I want because it has been displayed based on the type of chocolate in a vertical pattern rather than all of the milk chocolate at the top that I couldn't reach. That's a universal design component for retail establishments. So it's reachable by all people. The other is your most vulnerable customer is your most valuable customer. Thinking in terms of also the employees, having the people that work for you having disabilities are a big bonus to having them in your business. They also expand your customer database. They will go on social media. They will bring their friends and families, and they will not lock their wallets. They will open their wallets as they find your business establishment more accessible. My client Starbucks opened their newest location in Washington, D.C. It's near Gallaudet University, a university for the deaf. The manager is deaf, and the employees know American Sign Language. As you can see in this photo, the counter is low. It's easy for people to roll under. Starbucks has a national initiative for the inclusive design framework. They're bringing Walmart on board, as well as the American Association of People with Disabilities, to start a movement in the retail world that retail needs to take advantage of adding more accessibility. Another client here is Experience Columbus. They hired me to create their accessibility section on their website, showing what things to do in Columbus are accessible. And I have been a spokesperson for them, doing lots of video and TV commercials for Experience Columbus. I also travel a lot, and if I'm at an airport, the queuing line of taxis is there, and I often ask the personnel, will you please wave down an accessible taxi? If I'm at a hotel and I'm checking out, I'll say to the hotel, please call the cab company that has an accessible taxi so that when I leave, I have the ability to get right in. I was recently hired by the Palm Beaches, another destination marketing organization. This is the Flagler Museum, built in 1902, an American legend. Henry Flagler, the co-founder of Standard Oil. When he built his mansion, it was not accessible, but now it is, because it is a public museum. And I had no problem throughout the Flagler Museum seeing the entire facility. From there, I went to the Mounts Botanical Garden. Again, total accessibility throughout the Botanical Garden with the paths. You have seen, if any of you want to take a look at that seat, that's a close-up of one at the Fawcett Center in West Palm Beach. I also was hired by the Cincinnati Arts Association, and I just did an accessibility audit for the Aronoff Center and the Cincinnati Music Hall. They also have these seats there. They also have assisted listening devices, so people who are hard of hearing can crank up the volume, making that another accessibility feature. Tomorrow, I look forward to going to the Ohio State Fair sometime during the time it's open. Typically, when I'm there on the 17th Avenue entrance, the vendor is there with renting scooters and wheelchairs. Another wonderful feature to be able to go on the fair and be independent in a scooter or a wheelchair, no matter if you have disability with a leg or a knee or a hip replacement, a temporary disability or a permanent one. We have the ability to zoom around. I love to kayak. This is Indian Lake. The ADA compliant dock is there. I transfer right here from my wheelchair. Mark brings the kayak and he puts it right here, puts the wheelchair back in the car. I get in the front seat of the kayak. It's a tandem. He gets in the back seat. These are little rollers on the bottom. We hold on to the handrails and we just pull ourselves into the lake, and it's a reverse process to get back out. Accessibility matters at the lake also. If you're at Tampa Airport, this is the animal relief station with the AstroTurf. Some airports have outside relief stations. This one is an inclusive design so that your animal can be comfortable as they're getting ready to board or have just gotten off a plane. If you're familiar with Google Maps, your phone has an accessibility feature. Let me point it out to you in case you're not aware. Each of your phones on Google Maps, you can go to the Settings tab. See the red arrow right there. Go to Settings. You'll see the accessibility setting right here on the bottom. Click on that. Then click on this little blue circle, and you'll set it up for accessible places. It'll show you the accessible features. So we searched on our house, and you can see the international symbol for accessibility right there. And then right here, the entrance and parking are designated. Google Maps is going to be changing soon so that you can see this on your desktop in addition to on your smartphone. So the call to action today, many people here are representing government entities or organizations. What can you do to change policies? It's up to you to make some differences so that policies reflect making accessibility happens. I happen to be working with a lot of organizations and associations, and as they hire me to go to their venues to help them plan their meetings, they are changing policies in a big way for all the future accessibility meetings to come. The other is to invest in accessible design. I know we have people here in the building and design industry, so design it right from the beginning. When the fairgrounds did the design of the 2 new buildings, don't you think they had accessibility in mind? I would be surprised if they didn't have everything possible with today's features and design components for accessibility. So if any of you are in the development of commerce or in terms of building homes, please look at it from a professional like myself and other architectural professionals for universal and accessible design options. The next is raise awareness. Each of you, when you see a problem, point it out. Don't just leave. You'll feel regret when you get home and say, oh, I should have done something. So When I park somewhere and somebody's on the access aisle and now I've got a problem getting in the van, I put a little friendly note on their windshield. Do you realize I can't get into my van because you have parked in the access aisle? Why did you do that? Don't do that again. And so each of you, is raise awareness. Accessible Ohio is the place to go. If you haven't looked at their webinars yet, please do so, the playbooks. If you haven't looked at all their resources, and share those with others so that not only are you being educated, but all the people that you intervene with will also be educated and raise awareness of when there's an accessibility problem. And then engage with the community, people like us, people with disabilities. We have a voice, nothing about us without us. That's our motto. So listen to us. We have good advice. We have the lived experience to help you in your journey for policy decisions, for civic design, for government policies, as well as homes and environments throughout the community. So listen to people with disabilities. That's my call to action for you. If any of you need me, I am just a click away. Feel free to take a picture. This is my main contact information, my 2 websites, Universal Design Living Laboratory at udll.com. My other website, if you haven't been there, is rosemariespeaks.com. You'll see on that site all the services I offer. There's lots of videos and podcasts and articles and recording showing the work that I've been doing, not only here in Ohio, but throughout the country. I am here today, very fortunate that Accessible Ohio selected me to be here. I am honored to be in your presence. The purpose for my life is to make a significant positive difference in the lives of others. So hopefully by today's presence, I have given you something to take away personally as well as professionally. You see, we're all in this together, and as you go through the conference and you go into the other breakout sessions and you see the wonderful venues and you go out into the parking lot to the universal changing table, hopefully you're going to be getting new resources and a new mindset, new ideas, and go home tonight and start working on your action and follow through with what needs to change. I wish you a wonderful day. I hope today's program brings you an opportunity to say, this was a major milestone in my awareness, so that you can do your part to support that accessibility matters. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities.